Okay, you ready to get started here? How's everyone doing this morning? All right, okay, all right. Welcome to the Bitcoin Energy Summit. My name is Matt. I lead the Nervos Foundation, and we are proud to sponsor BES 2024. We're here today to talk about Bitcoin and how it's driving fundamental change in energy markets and beyond around the world. I'm on the technology side of this industry, so I'll leave it to the rest of these speakers to talk about the energy side of things. I work on a smart contract platform secured by proof of work. It's called CKB. It's been around since 2019. And I want to start this conversation today by talking about the important characteristics of Bitcoin that have led to this immense social movement that we're all a part of today. I'm sure you've all heard this before, but it bears repeating. Bitcoin is a trustless, verifiable, decentralized, and censorship-resistant system. It's the first of its kind, and it still stands in a class of its own despite the thousands of blockchains that have come after it. Some may even say that these words are the value proposition of a blockchain. Bitcoin is a machine that manufactures trust, or said another way, removes the need for each of us to take that leap of faith to trust in each other. It's this thing beyond human control. It's a mix of cryptography and just simple rational economic behavior from miners. And what this means is that for the entirety of humanity, regardless of what language you speak, where you're located, or whether you're deemed a good guy or a bad guy, Bitcoin just works. And the only thing I can think of that are like this is things like gravity or other natural law. So removing this need for trust in each other is important because trust is a commodity in short supply in our world. Our ability to know what's real from fake, who's right on the right or the wrong side of history is being eroded day by day. But Bitcoin has this quality of providing a solid foundation for our commerce and in turn our world. It certainly comes at a cost. Everyone in this room has some sort of idea of what it costs to operate Bitcoin. But if we didn't need these properties, if we weren't worried about, one group of people or some group of people interfering with the affairs of others, we could just use any number of existing web systems. This would be so much easier. Mining is the heart and soul of what makes this possible. The Bitcoin protocol is really just math. People may see these graphs and think about entities producing these blocks, but as far as Bitcoin is concerned, the network really only cares about a block meeting the difficulty target. That means anyone, anywhere can monetize their physical resources by plugging in ASICs and earning Bitcoin. And this makes it a truly unstoppable network. The output of this vast network of miners, Bitcoin's proof of work, is easily verifiable and amazingly efficient. The chain of Bitcoin's block headers, proof of more than 15 years of nation-state level resource utilization, could be downloaded and checked by anyone in this room in a matter of seconds. And this kind of objective certainty, which we all share and can span decades but be ascertained in an instant, is how we remove the need for trust in each other. Verifying Bitcoin's proof of work, though, is just one piece of the puzzle. There's also verifying the actual transactions of the chain. And we need to know that coins aren't being mined out of thin air or other problems. So this kind of verification is the opposite of efficiency. Every node around the world needs to verify each and every transaction. So in order to keep this burden low, Bitcoin's throughput is quite limited. There's no shortage of arguments about what the right block size is for Bitcoin. You'll hear all sorts of Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV, should be 1 meg block, should be gigablocks. But the thing that we know for certain is how Bitcoin transaction fees dynamics work. This paper in 2016 formalized the model, and I've never seen anything to contradict those findings. Those researchers observed that when blocks are 80% full, fees trend towards zero, because for a miner, any fee is better than nothing. But as blocks get close to filling up, transaction fees go exponential. And we saw over the weekend, the first block post-halving had millions of dollars in transaction fees. So with this reality in mind, the argument for small blocks makes sense. But the thing I know for sure is that blocks can't be too big, because if they are, then we get massive amounts of spam, and you can see this in BSV or Solana. So because of Bitcoin's block size, for years people have dreamt up ways to use Bitcoin's robust but I guess, robust but limited consensus to build systems on top of Bitcoin. And the technical term for this kind of system is layer 2. The concept may be new to many of you, but I'm sure all of you have heard of Bitcoin's Lightning Network. Lightning uses Bitcoin for its security, assuming that a transaction can be included in the blockchain. And there are a few Bitcoin layer 2s that have been around for a while. There's Liquid, there's Stacks, there's Rootstock. So all these systems are different, but they all use Bitcoin in some way as the basis of their system. There are also some very old ideas that involve building systems out of additional data attached to Bitcoin transactions. So this kind of a system is just as trustless and decentralized as Bitcoin, but it just requires some off-chain work to index the data. We've had Counterparty with the rare Pepes, Mastercoin where Tether was originally issued, and even Ethereum has its origins in this kind of system with Vitalik in 2013 trying to put smart contracts on top of Bitcoin before ultimately deciding to build his own blockchain. And there's this massive Bitcoin hype going on right now, and the opportunity that's being observed is that proportionally, Bitcoin really does not have that many assets issued on top of it. You can see the contrast between Bitcoin with BSC and Tron and Ethereum. But the immense hype that we're seeing does not have much to do with those old Bitcoin layer 2 protocols, but rather a couple innovations that were unlocked with Bitcoin's Taproot upgrade. And the first thing is the rise of inscriptions, which, like those old ideas, add some additional data to Bitcoin transactions, but Taproot opened the door to having up to 4 megabytes of data attached to a Bitcoin transaction, which led to some unexpected consequences. You may have heard the drama about people adding these JPEGs to the blockchain and other people saying that those transactions should be censored, but because of Bitcoin censorship resistance, it doesn't look like we'll see this kind of censorship anytime soon. Eventually, people even started issuing new coins on Bitcoin in this way. So we saw something like the ICO mania of 2017 play out, and there are now thousands of these coins. The market cap is in the billions, and it's all secured by Bitcoin. And some people are strongly in favor of this massive increase in asset issuance on top of Bitcoin, and it's not because they're trading these new assets, but rather because they're concerned about Bitcoin's security budget as the halvings roll on. Like we just had one, the blockchain block reward was reduced. These new coins and images have paid hundreds of millions of dollars to Bitcoin miners. I think this figure is out of date by now. I'm sure it's probably $100 million more. And it's not just that they're paying these fees, they're also filling up Bitcoin's blocks, which is increasing the fees for everyone else. And what we're seeing looks like a glimpse into how Bitcoin's security budget might develop as the block subsidy continues to decline every 4 years. See, overall, the last several years, Bitcoin has been reasonably cheap to use, but over the weekend, it was not. And I see screenshots like this, and it makes me question what the future of Bitcoin looks like. We do see that massive fees were paid to Bitcoin over the weekend. You see here $78 million in fees in just one day, which is, I don't know, almost 20 or 30x what was paid on Ethereum, which, you know, a year ago, 6 months ago, was unheard of. You know, that was one of the Ethereum community's digs at Bitcoin, that people pay more fees on Ethereum. The amount of fees paid on Bitcoin even exceeded the block reward for 104 blocks in a row post-halving. This was all due to some hype around a new asset issuance protocol called Runes. But thinking about what this new normal might look like, where we have full blocks with high fees, brings us to the second innovation that's driving this Bitcoin L2 craze. And that is BitVM, which is an acronym for virtual machine. I'm sure everyone knows that the kind of computation you can do on Bitcoin is quite limited. You're going to be adding or subtracting amounts of Bitcoin. But this was the result of a number of researchers using some clever tricks to make it possible for Bitcoin to verify any computation, which would seem unthinkable. It's not efficient, but it is as reliable as Bitcoin itself. And this has led to this renaissance of people using Bitcoin to create new systems. There are hundreds of projects on this list, But many of these systems are bringing techniques and technologies that were popularized by Ethereum's massive layer 2 ecosystem to Ethereum. Things you may have heard of like zero-knowledge proofs, rollups, or Ethereum's virtual machine. And I'm saying these things to you today because there's growing interest around how people might use CKB to build layer 2 systems on Bitcoin. And the most important thing here is that CKB builds on Satoshi's design decisions with the goal of maximizing the flexibility of a new blockchain without compromising on those critical properties of Bitcoin. CKB is a true world computer. We've already seen this power being used to create a passkey wallet that allows for seamless user onboarding without the need for seed words, a wallet that is resistant to quantum computers, and support for new programming languages for smart contracts. With this Bitcoin layer 2 momentum, we're seeing this power being used to integrate with Bitcoin wallets and also to use Bitcoin transactions to drive things that are happening on CKB. So because of its flexibility, CKB can support any wallet's cryptography, including Bitcoin. And because of proof of work it's easily verifiable, a smart contract can verify that something happened on Bitcoin. And I'll get through a demonstration here with the help right here. So we need 2 blockchains. The first thing we'll do is mint an asset with by adding some additional data to a Bitcoin transaction. Then after 6 confirmations, proof of what has happened on Bitcoin can be submitted for verification on CKB, which results in the asset being issued. And the same process can be used for a transfer. And this simple mechanism that we've seen here really is just the beginning. The same process can be applied to other proof of work blockchains like Bitcoin Cash or Dogecoin. And once we have these asset representations on this layer 2, new smart contract applications and exchanges can be developed. And additionally, there are efforts underway to connect CKB to Bitcoin's Lightning Network, which could open the door to seamlessly moving BTC around. Now, I mentioned earlier the immense opportunity that some are seeing in building on Bitcoin, and I'm glad to be a part of a community that's working on this because far too often in this industry, we've seen the innovators disregard the innovation that's been brought to us by Bitcoin and come up with their own techniques and technologies, and more than often that's led to just a mess of problems and centralization. And I think Bitcoin really offers this route toward systems that can be decentralized and robust and, like Bitcoin, can last for decades. And this year we've seen a more than doubling of CKB's hash rate. Bitmain has shipped more Antminer K7s. Binance Pool has added support for CKB, and I'm glad to have great news to share with you today. At the Bitcoin Energy Summit, we're brought together at the intersection of topics so relevant to our world. I hope you all have time today to make valuable connections, and I look forward to what all of us can do together. Thank you to the Bitcoin Energy Summit organizers for all of your work. If you're interested in CKB and Bitcoin Layer 2s, I invite you to check out all these links to join our community and run CKB. Thank you all for coming, and I hope you enjoy the conference today.